Hey everybody, welcome to the MMA H.E.A.T podcast. I'm Karyn Bryant.
What's up, everyone? Jouban here.
So listen, folks, it is fight week for Jouban. Hey, UFC 236. So listen.
Drinking the water, getting ready.
It looks like pee.
It doesn't on the way out though, but I gotta give myself a little cheat sheet. You know, like it's 2 gallons a day is not as easy without a little bit of Mio. And I put that orange Mio in there. It's like I'm drinking orange soda. I'm cheating. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, I know you love that Mio. It's funny. So you're going to be doing 2 gallons a day. When did you start drinking 2 gallons a day?
Yeah, Sunday. It's called a water load. It's a 5-day thing, and I start on Sunday. I did 2 gallons yesterday, 2 gallons today. Gets the system flushing. You don't sleep well because you're using the bathroom every 5 minutes, but your system starts flushing out. You start feeling real healthy and everything, getting all the toxins out, and then you start cutting the water out. Tomorrow will be 1 gallon, then half a gallon, then quarter gallon, then weigh-in day, no water. And it just helps expel the water out of your body a lot faster. And it just, in my mind, it's just a mental kind of cleansing. You know, I like to go into a fight feeling, you know, when I'm eating avocados and juices every day and drinking water, you feel good, you feel healthy, you feel vibrant. So it helps out.
Well, the funny thing is it's not like you're a burgers and fries guy every other time anyway. I mean, it's so close to what you already eat anyway.
I'm trying to get all that tequila out and everything, you know, so In-N-Out burger. Yeah, no, I'm pretty healthy, but it definitely you notice a difference. It's funny when you start doing the water load, you feel like you're drowning yourself, and then once you start taking the water away, it's like all you can think about is, man, I miss the water, because once you start dehydrating, your mouth's dry, you're thirsty, your skin's not as moist, and you're like, oh my God, I wish I had 2 gallons of water to pound right now, but you know you're dehydrating, so it's a funny thing.
Well, and it's funny, too, with you, and folks, we are going to talk about some other fights on the card, and we'll talk about the bare knuckle boxing. But, Alan, it's funny because I remember, forget which fight it was, one time when we were, you know, with you on a Thursday night and stuff, and you were working out and you were cutting weight. So you're still in a really good mood, and I know that you stay close to your fight weight anyway, but, like, so Wednesday you start to get a little edgy? Like, when does me and Alan come out? Because I remember Thursday night, I was like, that was a totally different dude in there.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's a mixture of both. Once I arrive in Atlanta, I'll be full systems go. But also, when we did that interview, that was against Bilal Muhammad in Vegas. When we did that interview, I was cutting weight. So not only was I hitting pads, so I was already like envisioning my opponent, but I was cutting weight, and I'd cut 7 pounds. And so once we did the interview, I was tired. I was dried out. I was hungry, and I was thinking, all right, I got to make weight tomorrow and then fight the next day. So yeah, but honestly, 3 weeks. When I get that 3-week mark, I flip the switch. Yeah. But I know how to flip the switch and then come home and try to relax, you know, to the most part. But yeah, definitely tomorrow when we get to Atlanta, game face is on, suited and booted, ready to go.
Nice. And I know you said that your son and wife are going to come. And last time when Cage was there in Florida, you had that great win over Ben Saunders. Yeah. So you know. Before you hadn't brought him, and now is it something you're just going to always bring him?
I think so. I'm super excited for it. You know, like I try to prepare him, and I don't try to think negatively, but I'm very realistic. You know, I don't tell my son I will never lose. I'm the strongest man in the world. I like when he believes that stuff, but he's always asking me like, "Are you going to win this fight?" And I say, "I'm going to win, man." And you know, things could happen. Daddy may not win, but Daddy did everything possible to prepare himself mentally and physically. And every time I leave the house, and you're sad that I'm leaving, I think, well, if I'm going to leave you, I'm going to make it worth it. I'm going to go get better, and I'm going to prepare myself. So I tell him, like, I did all the hard work, man. I just have to go execute. I feel in my heart that I'm confident and I'm going to win this fight, but anything can happen, you know. So at the end of the day, I'm just happy that he's going to be there because, again, I said last time, like when I saw them visually, saw them in the stands, I would look at Ben, look at Bruce Buffer, look at them, and I just wanted to keep that fire. I kept looking at them every 5 seconds to keep that feeling. So when the bell rang, I was like ready to collide. I wasn't as hesitant. So I'm hoping it's a lasting emotion. I'm hoping it wasn't a one-time thing, but we'll see when it happens.
And you're fighting Dwight Grant, and you know, it's funny if people look up on the stuff, it says Beanie Siegel, because apparently Beanie's real name is Dwight Grant, and it's so weird to me, like I'm tripping out.
Okay.
But he doesn't really go by that nickname or anything like that, but that is who you're fighting. And for folks, like, where do you think he's the most dangerous?
Well, when I break him down, 3 things, you know, pop off the sheet. A, he's got knockout power when he connects. B, He's got very long reach. He's got like a 78-inch reach, so about a 4-inch reach advantage on me. And he's a little bit taller as well. And then he's got good footwork. You know, he's kind of a counter striker. He's athletic. He's got fast hips. But it's really more like he kind of puts himself in long range. He wants to land those long range shots because he's a long range counter fighter. So that's the three things that jump off the paper. When I look at what I have going into it, I feel like I'm I feel like I'm a better fighter, and every fighter says that. But I break everything down: striking, kicking, punching, etc. And I feel like I'm better on a majority of it. You know, he's probably got some edges over me, but I feel like I'm just a polished striker. His last two opponents, though, have been southpaws, and so I'm thinking that he's getting the rhythm of how to fight a southpaw. Right. So you can look at it in a disadvantage, but I also kind of see the advantage in it because the last two southpaws that he fought were southpaws, and he did similar things to me. But when I break them down, I feel like I do it so much better. Just subtle things I do better, more power, more speed. I hide, I camouflage things well. So I think that's going to be the difference in the fight, that he's going to continue this routine of southpaw countering. But my ability to hide things and land stuff and the pressure that I bring, and not to mention the pace that I set. You know, I'm like in the top 5 in most categories when it comes in the welterweight division ever when it comes to significant strikes landed, significant strike differential, you know, and all those other things. So I think he's going to see that in there, and I think that's where you'll start to see me shine.
Very cool. Well, I'm excited because that always means a champagne podcast, you know?
Oh, man. Champagne. I'm hoping there's a champagne podcast with a bonus attached to it at the end.
That'd be very nice. And folks should know that we will be hosting a party at Dave & Buster's to watch Alan's fight. We're going to be there for the whole pay-per-view card, and then we're going to do a live show afterwards. So we're going to be at Dave & Buster's, the one that's up at Hollywood and Highland. So we're also going to have a bunch of giveaways and things. So folks, stay tuned. Have a lot more information on that. But if you're in the sort of greater Los Angeles area and you want to come down and watch Alan throw down and totally kick butt, come to Dave & Buster's with us. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And then when you're on the mic afterwards, you'd be like, yo, what up, KP at Dave & Buster's?
Hey, everybody. Yeah. All right, I got to set that, man. I got to remember.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and I noticed, you know, the other day I'd asked you when we were down at Black House how you're going to do your hair. So you did. You kind of freshened it up a little.
Oh, yeah. I cleaned it up a little bit, but I didn't go with the traditional the fighter cut, the hard line, the hard edge, all that stuff. I feel like that you know, I've been wearing that same haircut for like 5 years since I've been in the UFC, and then you know, times have changed, man. I think that cut's kind of out of style now, so I just kind of blended it a little bit more. But yeah, definitely got cleaned up for the fight, and feeling good.
Nice, looking sharp. All right, well, so over the weekend I was victorious on the tennis court, Alan. I
saw that.
Yeah, so it's funny because I hadn't played for a while. You know, we were traveling. We were, you know, it's on work trips, vacation, and I was like, look I haven't played in a while. I come back and they're like, yeah, that's fine, whatever, you're gonna play line 1 singles. I'm like, all right, cool, we'll see what happens. So I went to practice for a couple days, got my groove back, but I won 6-2, 6-0, had a couple of great shots in there that there was a few that I was like, yeah, okay, that was pretty sick. You know, it's fun.
So there was no ring rush.
No, apparently not.
Apparently. Yeah. Okay.
Apparently not. Yeah,
Didn't look like
it's funny, the other girl, you know, made some mistakes, but of course, you know, it's like in the fight game, like, well, she made mistakes, but it's also because I was giving the ball back to her, giving her the opportunities to make her mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was fun, and our whole team won and everything. So that was good.
Congratulations.
Good to be back in the groove. And I think I have a match maybe Saturday before we get over to Dave & Buster's too, so it'll be fun. But nice. But there was no UFC, but there was the bare knuckle fighting. Artem Lobov and Jason Knight were the main event. Mm-hmm. What'd you think, man? What did you think?
I'll go first. So, you know, I don't want to get too deep into it all, but at the end of the day, we all saw the damage that these guys took. And as much of, I didn't see the fight. I know you watched it, Karyn. I didn't see it, but as much as I heard is that it was a fun fight, one of the best fights in bare knuckle boxing history, from what I'm told, one of the better ones. You know, well,
yeah, so it was. I think that's probably a true statement.
Okay. So one of the better fights in bare knuckle boxing history. But when you look at the residual damage afterward that these guys took, it's hard for me to to see this as a sport. You know, afterward, they were getting a lot of stuff saying, like, this is going to be, what is the word that the promoter used? He said it's going to be a legacy or something big, you know. And I don't see fighters looking at this type of sport, and I don't want to say this in a negative way, but you see the damage these guys took, and I don't see fighters in their prime, in their peak, high caliber fighters saying, this is the sport I want to go to first and use my ability, my God-given gift, and put all my energy into this and take that type of damage when there's no way these guys are getting paid like the big leagues just yet. So even if the pay does continue to rise, I have no idea, by the way, when I'm saying this, how much these guys get paid. No idea. But they're not making tens of millions of dollars. And to sustain that type of damage on every fight, you would need to get paid very, very heavily to draw an athlete. So what I'm getting at is I see this as a place where fighters who have either said, you know what, I'm just a middle-of-the-road MMA fighter or a so-so boxer, and I'm ready to retire and just try something different, try something out, try a new sport, or just do something 1 or 2 times before the end, then they would get into that. And you're seeing it, guys like Chris Leben. I mean, Chris Leben's been retired for seems like forever now, and he's having a lot of success. And guys that are built for it. Chris Leben has a huge head. He can take a punch. He's got massive knuckles, and he's got power. He is built specifically for this type of street fight, bare knuckle boxing, where guys that might be more better athletes or more technicians, but maybe have softer hands or are cut easier, they're not going to flourish in these sports as well as these other guys. So it's a tough man type sport, but I see it as a tough man type sport for retired fighters or guys that are looking for something else. So I'm happy the other guys are finding ways to make money, but seeing the damage that these two gentlemen took that night, it was hard to watch because empathetic. Yeah. I put myself in their shoes, as you do probably too.
For sure.
We're fighters, and people look at us, but they're fighters, they can take it. No, man, like, we're fighters, and we know that we have a small chapter of our life, maybe 5, 10, 15 years that we do this.
Yeah.
And after that, we have to live for the rest of our life, and we have families, and you've seen a lot of guys with brain damage and depression and things of that sort. So that's what really worries me. I don't want to make this a negative comment, but when you see that type of damage, it worries me for the sake of the fighters who are doing this as a kind of a last hope, hoorah for some money.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. You know, before for the other organization, the other bare knuckle organization, I had interviewed Bas Rutten, who was brought on to be the president of that, and I was very skeptical.
Is that a different one?
Yeah, there's 2 different ones. That was
okay.
Bas
I'm
was
confused
with
by it.
WBKFF, I think, and this was BKF. Whatever.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
Gotcha.
Yes, I was also quite skeptical, and a lot of the same concerns that you have. And yeah, so the other night, you know, I didn't see all of the fights. I saw part of Leben's. I saw him, going to work and getting that finish. I did watch all of Artem and Jason, and I mean, yeah, I watched the last 2.5 rounds like this. Like, those are
crazy.
Those are 2-minute rounds, and it's ferocious, right? And so, like, right away, you know, Artem had gotten dropped in the first round, and then Jason did. Like, they both dropped each other a lot, and then sometimes they'd be like, "Oh, that was a slip." You know, that was a knockdown, that was a slip, that was a knockdown, whatever. But, yeah, the amount of damage, it's too much. You know, it's too much. It was very hard for me to watch the end. And I had actually, sent Artem a message before. I was like, hey, good luck, out there. I know, you're a badass, go for it. And, thanks. And then afterwards, we're talking. I said, I'm happy for you. It's great. You got the win. But if I'm being honest, like, I don't like seeing you guys banged up like that. Like, you are a total, like, badass and warrior, but it's hard to see. It's hard to see that. And yeah, guys like Artem, who will take any fight, who's a brawler, like Julian Lane, who the let me bang bro guy, but like he's doing well in BKB, bare knuckle boxing. Beck Rawlings, I know, is doing well for women, but I don't think their fights have been as vicious. The one with Artem and Jason, those pictures of them after, it's so hard to look at. It's
Chucky.
And Artem has a good sense of humor about it, I guess. He's like, anybody got any plaster or whatever? But like, dude, you got a little baby boy. I don't think it's a little boy, right? Artem's got a little baby, and
going
Jason,
home like that.
And Jason, I know he had some great fights in the UFC, and then got cut, and maybe, like, to your point, he's looking for a revenue stream here and looking for stuff, but he's exciting and fun, and maybe some people are going to argue that Jason won. It was a close fight, but like, dude, I don't know, like you said, how much money you're getting, but I don't know if it's worth, like, you're disfigured now. Like, it's,
yeah.
I can't, I'm not a fan. I don't like it. Like, I don't like it. I like people to have a way to make a living, I guess, but I don't like that. I'm sure you heard about this, and I guess they kind of backtracked on it, but the promoter had come out at one point saying he was going to take half of one guy's purse because he didn't fight, and he was just like running around. It's like totally outrageous if that's true. And apparently, I guess maybe there is some sort of timidity clause in their thing, but then they said that was just, BS. They were trying to hype people up, but like, I don't know, man. I can't see this getting sanctioned all over the place.
And what you just said is it's a cause for concern, and it's not going to get a great momentum of fighters behind them when you're seeing pictures of guys taking this type of damage, and then you're hearing concerns of guys maybe getting not paid or maybe getting some of their money taken. Like that's red flag city for me as a fighter. All of us in the UFC or in MMA, we're fighters. Some like to say, I veer towards the side of I'm an athlete who in combat sports. Right. Some say I'm a fighter at heart. But at the end of the day, we meet in the middle, and we're fighters who do this for a sport.
Right.
But when I look at bare knuckle boxing, it's less of a sport as it is a tough man contest where other factors come in. It's less technique, less rules, right. And it just becomes like who is the toughest.
Right.
And it just again, the damage at the end of the day, the damage is what concerns me the most. And there's no way these guys are making the amount of money that they I mean, I don't know what amount of money you would have to put on it to take that type of damage, but there's no way they're making anywhere near what I would imagine you would need to take that type of damage. And then even if you broke it down from a technical point of view, I'm really curious to see how long these guys' fists hold up. Right. We've seen every look, I've been in a ton of street fights in my career. And every time, my hands were sore, and then they heal. But with the better fighter you become, the more accurate of a striker and the more power you start to possess, as these professional athletes do, you're going to hurt your hand.
Totally.
Our fists aren't made to hit bones and sharp objects and chins and sustain the type of damage when we're good, when we know what we're doing.
Right.
And so you saw these guys' hands at the end of the fight. Their hands probably look like their faces after the fight. Right. Their hands needed stitches, and all you have to do is kind of mess up a tendon or a nerve in there, and it's swelling forever. You guys have seen my ugly hand many a times, and that's from one fight in the streets, one punch. And these guys are going 10 minutes like this. Yeah. I think Artem is supposed to fight in like 2 to 3 months, have that big fight against
Malignaggi. There's no way he's going to be able to fight in 2 months. I hope to God nobody sanctions him to fight in 2 months after that.
Yeah, it's crazy that's already on the calendar. That is a huge fight that is going to be by far the most skilled fighter that Artem has ever faced when it comes to boxing. And he's going to need I mean, it takes 6 weeks of no contact for your stitches to heal. And then it's still scar tissue, so it will reopen high percentage after. When Artem gets 6 different cuts on his face and then a couple on his hands, I bet you his hands are going to be sore for 2 months. It's going to be tough for that date to happen. If he does it, I will be shocked. I can't lie. I'm excited to see this matchup just because of the promotional beef that they had.
Right.
But I think that is too soon of a fight for Artem after the damage that he sustained already.
Yeah, I agree that, there's heat with that matchup. But I can't imagine Artem being ready to fight in 2 months. And also, like after doing that last fight, you might be like, yeah, maybe I don't love bare knuckle boxing. Like, who knows if he's even going to want to keep doing it? Maybe
I wonder that.
It's not worth it. I don't know.
I really, truly wonder that, because everything that we've seen so far has been kind of the immediate reaction, right? Like Jason did a post where he was stitched up and he was like, who's tougher than me? Nobody. And Artem seemed a little bit more humbled by the entire process. But like you said, I totally agree, Karyn. It's a great point. Once he goes home, and if he does have a kid, like you said, if Artem has family and he goes home and he goes through the emotional, Daddy, what's wrong with your face? And then, a week later they take the stitches out and they're cleaning it every day and his hands hurt. And for 3 weeks, he can't really hold his kid and love on him. And then he goes, okay, time to get right back into camp. And he's like, all right, like fighting is one thing, but like going through the injury process, the emotional, the depression, the pain, it's something that you don't look forward to, and
Right.
why would you want to look forward to that? So
Yeah, why do I want to put a car accident on my calendar? Hey, cool.
Again,
A couple
okay,
weeks
it's
from
coming
now,
up.
I'm gonna get in a head-on collision. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
No, thank you.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, thank you. So, and it is interesting too. I'm curious what your take is. Like some people are like, okay, well, so how can you on one hand like MMA and like boxing, but oh no, bare knuckle is just too bad. Like, you know, some people are like, well, fighting's fighting. You know, how can you sit here and be high and mighty when you love MMA, but against bare knuckle boxing? But to me, it's just too much damage for people, and it's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, and like, if you're saying that, then you don't really truly know a lot about mixed martial arts. So I'm not gonna like take this question or this statement too serious, but just to throw it out there, it's different because in the mixed martial arts, we have the option to take somebody to the ground. We have the option to clinch up somebody, and there's gloves and a lot more rule sets that the gloves are really truly to protect the hand, but also not only does it protect the hand because the hand's not made to hit the face that hard without breaking, but there's a far less cuts because when you're hitting knuckle to face, every punch can inflict a wound, where with the gloves, it protects your face a little bit more. So it's two total different sports. They're both in the combat sport umbrella, but two total different sports.
Yeah, it's I don't know. But I will say this: UFC 236. We know, obviously, you're fighting. That's coming up. The people will be gloved up, thankfully. So let's start on the Coco here because I talked to both Eyrk Anders and Khalil Rountree, and we have those interviews up. So folks should definitely check those out. Now, Khalil is somebody that you have spent a lot of time with training over the years, right? Because he's been at Black House and things. So he recently went out to Thailand more because he said after the loss to Johnny Walker, remember Johnny got him with that really incredible short elbow and then finished him up. And Khalil, he actually, it's a really good interview. The guy is very candid, but he said, he was like devastated after that loss and embarrassed and just all of the bad things that he felt. So he felt really needed to work on his Muay Thai and has been over in Thailand for a long, long time. Also spoke to Eyrk, who, as we know, used to be a football player. And Eyrk has been a middleweight, and he went up to light heavyweight. He's had some incredible fights, like the fight with Thiago Santos was incredible. He almost beat Lyoto. Like, Eyrk's been in some really exciting fights. A couple of them didn't go his way. I kind of, the last one with Elias Theodoro, I kind of actually thought he maybe won. It was a very close fight. I'm not saying, robbery, whatever. Both good dudes. Like, no problem with Elias. But it was a close fight, So he's compelled, though. He's like, look, I got to win. Even if you're exciting, it doesn't matter. If you're losing, I got a couple in a row here. So he's definitely fired up. Neither of these guys think it'll go to the judges, which I have to agree with. But I'm wondering what your take is on this because you know Khalil firsthand.
Yeah. This is an exciting matchup. Khalil's a guy that I remember when he was making like his pro debut, it was small organization here in Culver City or something. But I remember I was having a talk with Ed Suarez one day about the UFC, and Khalil kind of chimed in. He was like, what about me? When am I going to get those sponsorships or something? And Ed was like, give us some time, kid. Wait till you're in the UFC in a couple of years. Yeah. And sure enough, though, I remember that statement. I remember this conversation. And sure enough, within like 2 years, Khalil found himself in the UFC via the Ultimate Fighter. But he's a guy that came into UFC, came into MMA very fast, got a couple fights, got an opportunity in the Ultimate Fighter. I believe he lost in the finals in the Ultimate Fighter, but he came into the UFC and he had a couple opportunities. Some big names presented themselves his way, and he made the most of it. Next thing you know, he's fighting on pay-per-view. He's fighting on the main card. He's a guy that's kind of being very well known in the UFC, and the UFC is using him as a guy that they say, you know what? Here's a guy, someone else. They'll use a name like his opponent, Eyrk Sanders. Anders, sorry. Who's kind of much more of an established fighter, done some main events. But who can we put him up against? Khalil, lesser of a name, but Khalil's a guy that we could use because he comes in, he might knock out Gohan Saki in any second, or he might get knocked out by Johnny Walker. But he's a guy that we could put there and rely on an exciting fight. And so I'm happy for Khalil. I remember before the Saki fight saying this, I'm a fan of Saki, and I told him, dude, I'm such a fan of Saki, but this is such a huge opportunity for you, man. I know it's a scary one and a big one, but you make the most of this opportunity, and you're going to see it, man. You're going to see the push. You're going to see your name and lights, and that's what happened for him. So big fight for him. I think, as you said, Eyrk is a seasoned guy. He's been main evented. He's been 5 rounds with some of the best in Lyoto Machida, as you said. Khalil, The only thing that worries me a little bit is going to Thailand. You sharpen your single technique. You know, let's work the kick, let's work the punch. But a lot of it is stationary pad work. Because every time I've gone to Thailand, you know, a guy stands there and he drills you, but you're not moving back and forth like with the footwork. You're not changing levels. You're not really in an MMA stance as much. So I know Khalil's smart enough to kind of adapt what they're teaching him to the style that he stays with inside of the octagon. But that's the only thing I'd be cautious in the very beginning. I want to see his mobility, because Eyrk's a guy that will get in your face and will chase you around and will press the action. Khalil's a guy that has that one-punch knockout counter strike. So it's a fun matchup, man. I'm excited for it.
I know, it's a really fun matchup. Yeah, Khalil, when he lost the Ultimate Fighter, he lost to Andrew Sanchez. And it's really because Andrew took him down, you know, and at the time, Khalil didn't really have a ground game. So I know he's been working with our buddy, Kenny Johnson, Bolt, you know, over the years and stuff. Maybe, like you said, this time he's been spending more time in Thailand. So he, you know, the cool thing about that was he's like, look, I noticed something I needed work on after that fight to, you know, Johnny Eduardo. So I went to work on it, you know. On the flip side of that, Eyrk talks about how he changed his camps because he did have some losses. You know, he said 2018 wasn't great for me. So he changed his camp. He's going to Factory X now. So he was putting in a lot of work with, he's putting in work with Anthony Smith. I'm blanking on the big dude's name.
Factory X.
So he changed to Factory X. So he's feeling like invigorated now. You know, got a new system behind him and everything. And I guess it'll be the first like big time full camp there. So he's fired up. But both those interviews definitely worth watching. They're really good guys. I told them, I was like, please just go to war and have a draw. Like I don't want either of them to lose, you know. But I talked to Khalil a lot about that Gokhan fight. And so yeah, really cool. Hopefully folks can check those out. Of course, they are the Coco, so that means right after. So are you the first one on the card then? On pay-per-view?
I believe I'm the second fight. I don't remember who's in front of me, but I'm the second fight, and then the Coco, as you mentioned, with Eyrk and Khalil, and then the co-main event being the Style Bender interim middleweight fight. This is a fun one, man.
And I don't know what you think. We saw Kelvin the other day, so we also have a Q&A up with Kelvin, media lunch with him, and he answered everything and talks about carrying around Cejudo's belt, you know what I mean, when they were in Australia, and the fight with Robert got canceled. But I'm curious what your take is, because, you know, obviously Kelvin used to be in your weight class. He was a welterweight who moved up because he couldn't make weight. You know, he's so much more mature now, and Kelvin has such a good headspace about him. But, you know, one of the things he was talking about is like, look, I have a lot more ownership here. I've been around in the UFC for a long time. This is, you know, one Ultimate Fighter. I've been here like 6 years or so. Israel comes in, few fights. Next thing you know, he's getting the title shot and all that. And he kind of doesn't think Israel's really ready. And you know, so Kelvin definitely has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, like it's his time, and, you know, frustration with it not being against Whitaker. But stylistically, you know, Kelvin could have a lot of advantages being a smaller guy.
Yeah. You know, the thing that you said, that Kelvin has a chip on his shoulder because of what it was. He's been in UFC longer. He's beaten tougher guys. Israel's a new guy, and he needs to show him it. I agree on all those things. I don't think those necessarily have an outcome on the fight, though, because that's what you do as a fighter. Like, same thing with me. You know, I could kind of, you know, me and my opponent, Dwight, aren't going back and forth, but I could say, look, this guy's only got like 3 fights in UFC. I've been in UFC for 4 or 5 years. Like, that's the obvious. And so you always take the obvious into the equation. Like, look, this is what I got to do. But it doesn't necessarily change what happens inside of the octagon. At the end of the day, it becomes the styles inside of the octagon. And when we thought that Israel Adesanya wasn't ready for a, what's his name out of Extreme Couture, the Hawaiian guy that he beat?
Brad Tavares. That was a great fight.
Brad Tavares. Yeah, we were like, he's not, I don't know if he's ready for Brad Tavares. He's well-rounded. He's got knockout power. And he showed flying colors and all of those. So I believe that if Brad Tavares is kind of the most similar style that you can kind of say to Kelvin, a guy that's, you know, not a huge middleweight, but moves forward very fast, good hands, can take it to the ground if needed. But yes, Kelvin Gastelum, I agree. Great dude, great everywhere, in a much better headspace now. He has been around, like as he said, he's a veteran of the sport, veteran of stylistically fighting new people, going and knocking out Michael Bisping. I mean, he's done some big things. So he has to feel a more confident fighter in that aspect. But man, Stylebender has made me a believer. You know,
I totally am. I think he's great.
He made me a believer because the first 2 fights I was like, yes, but you see when people got a hold of him, man, if a real wrestler gets a hold of him, he's in trouble. But man, he went against the pure wrestlers, and he wasn't in trouble. He has holes, and he will be deemed as more human than we think. Eventually, it's inevitable. But man, he does have me as a believer, as you said.
Yeah, Israel, I think, is great. I'm totally down. I like him. I like how he fights. I like him on the mic. I think we need more guys like him, and I feel like it's nice because it's organic. It's not like he's trying to create a personality. I think he has natural charisma, which I like.
Yeah.
He's got obviously all kinds of reach advantages and things like that, but I don't know. Kelvin gets underestimated, right? So when you look at actually the hit list of who he's beaten, he gets underestimated, and he still can come out victorious. So I really don't know. I honestly really don't know what's going to happen in that fight. I think it will be very good, but it could go a while, right? That could go to the cards. I mean, it's not necessarily. I don't know.
Yeah, because I could see Kelvin being the bigger-bodied guy, using his size and his quickness to press forward with blitzes and one or two big punches. And I could see Israel being the guy that's working on the outside, cutting angles, trying to counter shot. But I don't really see one-punch knockout counter shots coming out of him. I see him chipping away, sliding out, trying to finesse and use some swagger in there to throw off Kelvin's rhythm. But Kelvin trying to stick to the game plan, press him, use his combinations, possibly use his wrestling against the cage. But, I wouldn't be surprised if this went all 5 rounds as well.
I am curious, though, if Israel won, and then ultimately there's the unification between Whittaker and Israel. Whittaker is New Zealand born but lives in Australia, but you know what I mean? Israel is in New Zealand. Like on the one hand, they might be like, cool, the belt's going to stay down under. But on the other hand, it'd be interesting because they are so close. I would think they would have the exact same fan base.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, Israel is New Zealand born, but then
Israel is Nigerian born, right? But raised in New Zealand or whatever.
In New Zealand.
And I believe that Whittaker is New Zealand born but lives in Australia.
Gotcha. Yeah. And where does do you know? I'm just curious. Where does Stylebender? Where does he train? His camp is still in New Zealand.
It's in New Zealand. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
So we're catching. ESPN was running one of the countdown shows last night, so I saw some of that. And they were down there at his camp. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good fight. Honestly, yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go, but I do agree. Yeah, it could definitely go to the judges. The main event, though, Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, will not go to the judges. I don't know who's going to win, but it's not going to be going to the judges. I don't think. I think those two just do way too much work. They're just way too active, way too busy, way too good. I just don't. I think somebody gets finished.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say. I don't want to say that it won't go to the judges, but if it does, or if it escapes the third round, it is one that I see a tremendous amount. I hate to say this. I feel like my heart is involved now with people, but a tremendous amount of damage in this fight because both guys keep such a frenetic pace moving forward. Both guys are very prideful about kind of like taking the center of the octagon. Yeah. We know Max Holloway would sit there and strike with the best of them. His punch, his striking output is unbelievable. And Dustin Poirier is just a grinder. He'll go forward. He'll use his combinations. He'll wrestle. He'll stand there. Unless something crazy happens early in the fight, somebody gets caught, I see these guys, I see these guys inflicting a lot of damage upon one another. And then, yes, maybe I see a finish coming somewhere like in the third round. But,
that's what I mean. Yeah, a little late. Because Max
later.
Sometimes takes a little minute to warm up, but then it's like Max heats up, and when he heats up, he gets really turned up, So, I feel like it'll go a few rounds because both of them are so good. And, they can give it and they can take it. But I'm curious what your take is on this because, obviously, Dustin is usually the lightweight and, Max is our 45 champion. But Max is not small. Like, if you see Max in the offseason, he's a big dude. And strangely enough, he still could have a size advantage over Dustin.
Yeah, I don't think the size is going to or the previous weight class is going to have any factor in this fight. And Dustin knows that as well. I saw something that the UFC did where Dustin Poirier was watching his first fight with Max, and he was kind of commentating it, if you will. And I remember the first thing that jumped off of the page for him, he was like, Max is way bigger now. Because he knows he's not going to, look at a fight and say, look how good I was doing. He's honest. He's like, look, I beat this guy. We were both young bucks, But this guy was skin and bones and fresh out of the water right there. Like, this guy is big bodied now. He has muscles now. He knows how to grapple now. Total different fighter. Right. And as you said, he walks around so big now that coming into the fight at 55, he might still put on a few more pounds over Dustin.
Yeah. I am interested to see, too, though, how Dustin performs because, you know, he's wanted this title shot. He's been building toward it. He's been putting on such great performances. You know,
it's a big moment.
It's a huge moment. Yeah, it's a huge moment for him. And
I know where you're going. I get what you're saying. He's been kind of like hashtagging, I think it's called like belt season or strap season for a long time. And all of a sudden, it came. And they're like, you're fighting a rematch with Max in 2 months. And it was almost like, I wasn't there, but I was almost like, holy crap, this is what now he has to go and do it. So it's a very big moment. I'm excited, man. Like I said, I'm a fan of Max Holloway. Yeah. No matter what the outcome is. Obviously, I side with Dustin because of our background and I know him. But I'm also excited, man. The more I think about this, DC is already a champion, and he's a Lafayette guy. To have another champion come out of our hometown of Lafayette, Louisiana, and just to have 2 Lafayette guys, I think this is the first time 2 Lafayette guys have fought on the same card. So for Lafayette, for the entire Louisiana, I know they will be watching in the masses. And the more I think about that, everybody at a sports bar in my hometown or in Louisiana watching me, watching Dustin. And then me and Dustin are also teaming up after this fight. He has a foundation called the Good Fight Foundation. Yeah. And he's auctioning off his fight kit to try to get a playground built in our hometown of Lafayette for the school called Prairie Elementary. And a kid's name who passed away, unfortunately. So I'm teaming up with him. I'm auctioning off my fight kit. He's auctioning off his fight kit. We're going to raise money, get a playground built, hopefully. So just the more that I think about it, I get really excited. I can't think about it at nighttime because I can't sleep. But to think everybody we have ever known will be watching this fight back home and to see both of our hands raised and to be able to Dustin has strapped that gold belt around his waist. And then both of us auction off our fight kits. And that's going to go to somebody's home. And build a playground, like something that I helped contribute, that he helped contribute, built, that's going to help the community in our hometown. It gives me goosebumps. I have goosebumps talking about it. So it's something that I'm very excited for him, but he has a tough task in the great Max Holloway.
Yeah, I love hearing that you guys are teaming up on that. Dustin's been doing that for a while, auctioning off his gear and stuff like that, which is so great. Totally love that you're doing that as well. We have to make sure Dave & Buster's has like hush puppies or something on the menu, some gumbo, a little crawdad, a little boudin, right? Did I say it right?
It's close enough. Some jambalaya in a bowl or something. Yeah, a little Cajun flavor, a little zest.
That's right. Well, as a reminder, folks, we'll be at Dave & Buster's watching Alan, watching Dustin, watching everybody throw down the one at Hollywood and Highland on Saturday. But yeah, so it's exciting. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. There's so many great fights on that card. I mean, it's cool. It's cool. I like having the 2 title fights on there. I like having you throw down. It's going to be a fun night.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell if it's because I'm on the card or not. But like, I want to say I'm really excited for this card. Yeah. But I'm fighting, I guess. Right. So, but there's something about it. There's something about seeing Max move up in weight, seeing Dustin finally get the shot, seeing Kelvin finally get his opportunity, and seeing Stylebender finally get his opportunity, and then all the fights that have come with it. Me being a part of it, I'm so pumped for this card.
Awesome. So I'm assuming you'll be doing, you do Unguarded where you're here in town, but are you going to have people, because I want to make sure people are following you, like, I'm sure you're always very active on Instagram, on your stories and stuff, but to make sure that everybody gets all your stuff, where should they find you?
Yeah, I'll be on social media throughout fight week, so check that out if you want to kind of see, because I do a lot of stories and whatnot. It's at Alan Jouban. Follow me on all social media, and then I'll probably wait to do my Unguarded videos. Once I get back, I'll reflect on the fight, and we'll do a podcast with Karyn and all that. But as far as social media, nothing has changed. Check it out.
Okay, cool. And so, we will be, when we're up at Dave & Buster's, we will be giving away some game cards and things there. We're going to be picking up a new cannabis sponsor. So I think we're going to have T-shirts. Nice. Maybe because of the rules on like what you can give out in a children's place, I might only be able to give out the T-shirts and stuff like that, or coupons and things like that. I maybe can't give away the exact product, but that's something that we'll start to be
gummies
working with.
And stuff. Hey, kids, try
hey, Hey, kids. Hey, look, Mom, Karyn gave me this at Dave & Buster's. Like, yeah, that's not probably going to be
But you say
great.
cannabis, you mean CBD, not...
CBD, yes.
Right, CBD,
Yeah, not giving away weed. Even though we know that CBD is totally different, still sometimes with corporations, it can just be a funky thing. But I think the Dave & Buster stuff is going to be a lot of fun for us. We're going to be working that out. Hopefully it's going to be the first of many. So on Instagram, I'm KB Heat. Across the board, everywhere else, Karyn Bryant. And then, of course, follow MMA Heat everywhere. And like I said, we'll do a live broadcast from there and all kinds of fun stuff. So it's cool. And then... you're going to win your fight. We'll be like, holla, holla, holla. I tell you what, I won't be able to, exhale until you win. You know what I mean? I'll be stressing, hardcore.
Me neither. Me neither. I try not to think about that exhale feeling, but I love it. When it's done and you're sitting in the medical and the doctor's reviewing you and they come and they cut you your check and you look at your corners and we're like, holy crap. Okay, it's such a relief, a sign of relief.
Nice. And what's your walkout music?
Same old, you know it. Gangsta's Paradise, baby. Coolio,
nice.
Nothing changed.
Love it.
Yeah, Heidi from the UFC, she always texts me. She does the music, Heidi.
Yeah.
And she's always like, same song, right? I'm like, same song, baby, same song.
She said, same song, right, baby? Right? That's how Heidi talks. Right, baby?
Maybe I added the baby, maybe not. Who knows? But, she's always listening to Prince, so I can see her. I could see her adding in the baby at the end.
Oh, for sure. Heidi's awesome. Well, cool. I think that's it. So once again, check out, we have a Q&A with Kelvin Gastelum, interviews with Khalil and Eyrk Anders. Going to be a lot of fun. So listen, Alan, you got all our support. We're sending all the love, all the positive vibes, all that good stuff. You might have to get Cagey Fresh and Mini Bless together. Those two can hit it off.
Oh, my God. I'm so glad you reminded me. That's exactly what I showed him the picture. The UFC posted a picture of him. And I told Cage, I said, yo, so Cage, this is Max's son. He's Blessed Holloway. They call him Mini Blessed.
Right.
You're Cagey Fresh. You're kind of like Little Brahma. I was like, we got to get a pic of you guys here. Oh yeah, that would be. I would love that. I don't know why I was thinking about that the other night. So we got to find them.
Oh, they will look. So they will look like they got a record dropping next week. You know what I mean? You put the two of them together, they're gonna look so ridiculous together.
I could see them trying to outswag one another. Yeah, it would be crazy.
Just that time when Mini Bless was just dabbing in the background of that shot was so cute that time. So cute.
Cute kid, man. Cute kid.
Awesome. Well, listen, best of luck. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. You can find these audio downloads as well at MMA.audio. All right, Alan, let those hands go. Let those elbows go.
I'll let them fly. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you all after the fight.
See ya.